As the lead clinician for the Children's Emergency Department, I'm sort of hugely grateful for the support that we've had from the Children's Department. From the charity, it's allowed us to fund artwork for the sort of main corridor coming into the Children's Department, which is, the first bit that the children get to see in the environment. And it's really important for the children to have an environment that's sort of friendly and approachable for them. So that was a real, an impressive piece of work that we got from the charity. So we've been really lucky at St George's Hospital to have support from the charity to develop a pediatric assessment unit, and that we're one of the very few departments in London that has an assessment unit actually located within their emergency department. And this is a great benefit for us as a team and for patients' care, really. It means we can continue our patients' care throughout their sort of journey within the emergency department up to 24 hours. So I'm really grateful for that. So I started my journey as a surgeon, really, as my training. I spent sort of 3 years training to be a surgeon and did emergency medicine as part of that. But those were the days when the contracts were long and the hours were long, and I would spend sort of 56 to 80 hours a week sometimes working in emergency medicine, shift work. And that was really tough at the time. And I remember thinking, okay, I'd like some of my weekends back. I'd like to have some free time. So concentrated more on a surgical route, but actually there was something that was drawing me back all the time to that sort of environment of an emergency department. And then I sort of reignited my interest in sort of pediatric medicine, and I'd randomly gone on a course and decided actually that maybe pediatric emergency medicine was the way ahead for me, and that surgery wasn't the career for me, and made the move then to come to London to spend some time at the Royal London Hospital to do some more training in pediatric emergency medicine. And then ever since then, I haven't really turned back. It was then that I felt that I sort of found the specialty that suited me and the career path that suited me, and sort of continued my training from there, really, and I've loved it ever since. This wasn't really a plan of mine to sort of go through and become a young consultant, but it's sort of what happened, really. It was more just the journey that I took. I wasn't sort of destined that I wanted to be a consultant. I was appointed at 32, which is quite young, at sort of going through the oldest sort of way of doing it. But I suppose it's the journey that I've taken. I don't know any other journey, and I'm loving it, really. It's really good. Sort of, as I mentioned on the TV program, that at the time that I was being filmed and I had my bleach blonde hair, and that I maybe didn't fit the standard model of what maybe you'd expect to see as a consultant, working in a major trauma center in a university hospital. That look of maybe, wearing a shirt and a tie and a Windsor knot and maybe a grey suit or and I think, I was, at the time that I got my consultant's post, there was that sort of feeling of, how do I keep my own identity as being me, Rhys as the person, and not just Rhys the doctor, and allowing myself to have my identity in my workplace, really. And I think, and that's what the program allowed me to reflect back on, really, by watching that back, was that the feedback that I've had has been totally positive, and that actually patients don't expect now in 2015 for your consultant to be wearing a suit. And it's easy in the emergency department. We all have our standard uniforms, so we're all in scrubs anyway, which unifies us and makes it clear what we are. But actually, what patients are interested in is clear communication, compassionate care, and someone who shows a bit of humanity. And I think as long as you show that, people tend not to judge you for the way that you look, which I think it's nice to have the confirmation that that's the case, actually. I think the main impact has been on my working life. It's really allowed me to reflect on why I do this job. It's given me that time and that space to identify sort of the reasons actually why I enjoy doing my job. Because I think the program's about the patient story. And when you work in an emergency department, you're seeing so many patients and the turnover is so quickly. They're in and out, and it's almost as soon as they leave. Sometimes, there's that whole thing of, well, you don't know what's happening to them. You don't know what their story is and what's sort of what their next step in their life is for them. But when you see this program, you get to see them at home. you get to see their gratitude for the work that you do. And I think it's being able to see that and have that reflected back, that actually the work that we do in an emergency department and within the NHS is truly amazing. And it's so easy to forget that when, you know, all the concentration sometimes is on the pressures in the NHS and targets that we have to be getting to. And it's really nice to remember that the reason that we do it is because of the patients. In particular, when you're working in a children's emergency department, you know, you have to interact with these children at a level that they're going to trust you and that they're going to communicate with you. And I think that's a real bit that I enjoy working, is allowing them to see that I'm not just there as being a doctor, that I'm there as a human being who's just having a conversation with them. And I think once you start showing a little bit of your human side and your humanity, then people start to trust you a little bit more. And, you know, we get to make big decisions as part of the medical, you know, care. We make decisions about people's diagnoses and treatment, and we advise people on what the best thing for them to do is for their care. And we expect them to listen to us, and they need to trust us to be able to do that, whether they're 4 years old or whether they're 84 years old. I try and deal, you know, obviously this is a stressful job that I do, and that's part of the reason why we love doing it. You know, we thrive on the environment that we work in. But I think the way that I deal with that is predominantly by trying to deal with it in real time if there's something that's really stressful, and allowing myself to sort of have closure sort of in real time with it. But obviously, you know, my work is my work and my life is my life outside of it. So there's, you know, I have good friends, I have good family, and it's about sort of giving myself downtime and allowing myself to be me outside of work. Oh, I'm going to have to touch wood. I don't think I've ever been a patient in the emergency department. So, yeah, I don't want to tempt fate. I'm going to really touch wood. No, I've never ever been a patient in the emergency department. And I hope I don't ever have to be. Well, now, obviously, I'd come to George's because I'd want to be treated by people who know me.